We ran until our legs gave out, until every breath was a knife in our lungs, until the laughter finally faded behind us. When we collapsed, it was on a narrow, crooked trail we hadn't seen before. A path that seemed to twist and shudder under our feet. Josh doubled over, hands on his knees, gasping. "We can't keep running," he panted. "They'll find us again. We need a plan." A plan? What plan? There was no logic here, no map, no way out, only survival, only fear. I looked around. The trees were different here, taller, thicker, their trunks riddled with holes, as if something had bored into them. From somewhere deep inside those holes came faint sounds, whispers, breathing, crying. I shivered and looked away. Josh was right. We couldn't run forever. We needed to find a way to fight. Josh pulled out a hunting knife he always carried. It looked small and pitiful in his shaking hand. "If it comes down to it," he said, voice trembling, "we make a stand. We don't let them take us screaming." My stomach twisted. I didn't want to die here, not in this God-forsaken place, but I nodded, because deep down, I knew. This forest wasn't just trying to scare us. It was trying to change us. Into what? I didn't want to find out. We followed the crooked trail. It led deeper into the forest, always deeper. And then we heard it. A voice. But not Taylor's this time. A woman's voice. Software. Gentle, calling our names. "Josh, Chris, come here. It's safe." I froze. Josh grabbed my arm. "Don't listen," he hissed. "It's not real." But God help me, it sounded real. It sounded like my mother, calling me in for dinner when I was a boy. Warm, loving, safe. I stumbled forward. The trees thinned, and there, in the middle of the forest, stood a house. A perfect, normal house. White picket fence, smoke curling from the chimney, lights glowing warmly in the windows. It made no sense. But that was the point, wasn't it? Josh shouted behind me, but I didn't hear him. I was already walking to the gate, already reaching out. Already! Josh tackled me hard, knocking me into the dirt. The house flickered like a bad signal, and then it was gone. Only a gaping black pit remained, lined with jagged roots like teeth, waiting to swallow me whole. I stared, heart hammering, realizing how close I had come. Josh pulled me to my feet, shaking me. "It's in our heads," he cried. "It's inside us now." We stumbled away from the pit, every step harder than the last. The forest fought us. Roots snaked across the ground to trip us. Branches clawed at our faces. Whispers filled the air, pulling at our minds, dredging up our worst fears. I saw my sister's face, dead 3 years now, smiling at me from behind a tree. I saw Sam reaching out, blood pouring from his mouth. I saw Taylor, his body broken and mangled, nailed to a tree like a warning. I squeezed my eyes shut, stumbled blindly forward. Just keep moving. Don't listen. Don't look. We broke through the trees into another clearing, and there stood the old church, crumbling, rotting, half swallowed by vines. The bell tower leaned dangerously to one side, but it was a building, a real building, a place to hide. We ran inside without thinking. The inside was worse. Pews overturned, windows smashed, the altar split in two. And the smell, oh God, the smell, like rotting meat left in the sun. Josh gagged and pulled his shirt over his nose. I stumbled down the aisle, looking for anything that could help us. And that's when I saw the writing, carved into the walls, the pews, the floor, over and over again. "You belong to the hollow." Josh found a trapdoor behind the altar. It creaked open with a shriek. A staircase led down into darkness. He looked at me, fear plain on his face. "What do we do?" he whispered. There was no good choice. Stay here and be hunted, or go down into the dark and maybe find a way out. I swallowed hard. "We go down," I said, and together we descended. The stairs groaned under our weight. The air grew colder, wetter. We reached the bottom and found ourselves in a tunnel. Rough walls, dirt floor, low ceiling. It stretched ahead into blackness. Somewhere far down, we heard dripping water. And something else. Breathing. Low. Heavy. Josh switched on his flashlight. The beam barely pierced the gloom. We moved slowly. Every step a battle against the crushing fear. Shapes moved at the edges of the light. Faces half seen. Hands reaching from the dirt. I told myself they weren't real. That it was just the hollow playing tricks again. But when one of those hands grabbed Josh's ankle, he screamed. We fought it off together, kicking and slashing with the knife. The thing let go, retreating into the earth with a wet, slurping sound. We ran. No more caution, no more plans, just raw animal panic. The tunnel twisted and turned, always down, always deeper, until finally, we burst out into a massive underground cavern. And what we saw, there froze the blood in my veins. The walls were covered in bodies, hundreds of them, woven into the roots and vines, their faces frozen in eternal screams, their bodies twisted and fused into the living wood. Some were old, rotted, skeletal. Some were fresh, eyes wide, lips still moving in silent pleas. And in the center of the cavern, a massive tree rose, pulsing, breathing, its bark slick with blood. At its base, something stirred, something ancient, something hungry, the hollow's heart. And it was waking up. The ground shook. Dust rained from the cavern ceiling. The colossal tree in the center, the hollow's heart, throbbed like a giant organ, each pulse sending out a low, bone-deep hum. Josh and I stumbled back, shielding our faces from the thick, putrid wind that whipped around us. Something was emerging from the base of the tree. Something massive, dripping with black sap and writhing with dozens of long, thin limbs. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. It wasn't just alive. It was aware, and it knew we were there. Josh grabbed my arm, yanking me backward. "Run!" he shouted. We sprinted along the cavern wall, looking for an exit, anything. But roots shot out from the ground, slashing through the air like whips. One grazed Josh's side, tearing his jacket and drawing blood. He stumbled, but kept moving, his face twisted in pain and terror. The thing let out a noise then, a sound so low and vast it made my teeth ache. Not a roar, a laugh, a cold, knowing laugh that vibrated through my bones. We were nothing but prey. We ducked behind a crumbling stone pillar, gasping for breath. I peeked around and saw the thing more clearly now. Its torso was vaguely human, but twisted and elongated, covered in bark-like flesh. Its arms were endless tendrils, searching, groping. Its head was featureless, no eyes, no mouth, only a gaping hole where a face should be, dripping black ichor. And it was moving toward us, slow, patient. It knew we had nowhere to go. Josh looked at me, desperation in his eyes. "We have to fight," he said. "It's the only way." I wanted to argue, wanted to scream that we couldn't possibly win, but I saw the determination in his face, the same fire that had kept us alive this long. I nodded. If we were going down, we were going down fighting. We scoured the cavern for anything we could use. Josh found an old, rusted sword half buried in the dirt. I found a thick branch, sharpened to a point. weapons, pitiful ones, but better than nothing. We waited, hearts hammering. The hollow's heart loomed closer, tendrils writhing hungrily, and then we attacked. I drove the spear into one of its limbs, feeling it pierce deep. The creature let out a wet, shuddering gasp and recoiled. Josh swung the sword, severing a smaller tendril, black sap spraying like blood. It screamed, a sound that made the entire cavern tremble. For a moment, I dared to hope. Maybe we could hurt it. Maybe we could kill it. But the creature adapted. It moved faster, its limbs a blur. It caught Josh mid-swing, flinging him across the cavern like a rag doll. I screamed his name, but he didn't get up, didn't move. Rage flooded me, blind, consuming rage. I charged the creature, plunging my spear into its pulsing core. The world exploded in light, a flash of memories. My childhood home, my sister's laughter, Sam's goofy grin, Taylor's smile, all ripped away in an instant. Pain tore through me. I staggered back, clutching my head. The hollow was inside my mind now, showing me everything I loved, everything I stood to lose. I dropped to my knees. The creature loomed over me. A tendril wrapped around my throat, lifting me off the ground. I kicked and struggled, but it was no use. The world dimmed. I was slipping away. And then, Josh. He was on his feet, bloodied, broken, but alive. He hurled the sword with all his strength. It flew true, embedding deep into the creature's heart. The hollow's heart let out a deafening shriek. The tendril loosened. I dropped to the ground, gasping. The tree convulsed. Cracks spiderwebbed across its trunk. The bodies fused into its roots began to writhe and scream. The entire cavern shuddered, rocks falling from the ceiling. Josh grabbed my hand. "The trapdoor!" he shouted over the chaos. "We have to go! Now!" We ran. The ground split open behind us, roots lashed at our heels. We scrambled up the crumbling staircase back into the ruined church. The forest was on fire, not with flames, but with a sickly green light. The trees twisted and cracked, collapsing in on themselves. The hollow was dying, and it was taking everything with it. We ran, through the burning woods, past the graves of the lost, past the pit where the fake house had stood. The forest howled in rage behind us, but we didn't look back, not once. We burst out of the tree line just as the sun crested the horizon. Real sunlight, warm and clean. I collapsed onto the grass, sobbing, laughing, gasping all at once. Josh fell beside me, clutching his ribs. We lay there, staring up at the sky, as behind us, the hollow collapsed with a final, echoing roar. Gone. We survived. But we were not the same. The forest had left its mark on us. Sometimes at night, when the wind howls just right, I can still hear the whispers, still see the trees swaying in the dark, still feel the hollow watching me, waiting. Because you don't just leave the hollow. Part of you stays there, forever.